And they're off. So at the beginning of Shovel Knight, if you've never played this game before, what the players are going to be doing is gathering as much gold as possible in each stage so that they can buy various items or armor and shovel upgrades, which will help them in the run. Something to note is SpeedFrog is using a color code, so he does have the same armor as Tohloo right now, the basic blue armor, and he won't change to purple later. He will buy the purple armor later, but the color won't change, but he will still have it. Anyway, as is obvious, you have a shovel, and so this is basically like Castlevania meets Mega Man. And the shovel functions almost like the whip, as well as the downstab in Zelda 2. And then instead of climbing up or down the ladders, well, down the ladders especially, you'll see the players push jump, which allows them to just fall off the ladder quickly. And then at the tops of the ladders that they climb, they'll be jumping off the top, which you can only do after a certain animation starts playing. It saves a bit of time over the course of the whole run, given all the ladders you have to climb. And by mashing jump and attack right there, they can just dig through all of that dirt really quickly. Both players are coming up on the screen where we have an actual screen wrap in Shovel Knight. We call it the bubble wrap since you have to use some bubbles in order to perform the whole technique. I'm not sure if either player will go for it. I think SpeedFrog is. Tohloo has decided to go around. So, oop, okay.
Oh.
Luckily SpeedFrog didn't die, but he has now decided to go around. So, fortunately for him, he will be behind now. If he had gotten that zip first try, he would have been about 4 seconds ahead of Tohloo. But still anyone's race, as this is, of course, just the first level. So they're approaching Black Knight. Diesel, how do we fight Black Knight?
With Black Knight, we're going to use a technique called stun locking. And it basically is using a technique with shovel canceling. So we're going to jump and press shovel attack as soon as we're about to land, and then immediately jump again. And by doing this and holding right, we can do a stun lock against Black Knight, pretty much rendering him useless and not being able to do anything. We'll see this a lot, especially in the Black Knight 3 fight, but it'll be a much harder fight.
Okay, the players will both be heading to the village and then leaving immediately, as they don't have enough money to buy anything yet. And then both will be off to Pridemore Keep. And the only goal here is to reach the end of the level and defeat the boss. Neither player will be getting any items here, they just want a bunch of money. Something to note about the end of the first room is that they can perform a trick called Gentle Hop. We'll see Tohloo got it, we'll see if SpeedFrog gets it. Essentially what they're doing is they're jumping at the screen transition, and as they hit the transition, they swing the shovel, which increases your jump height if you do it correctly by 1 block, which allows them to get up to that platform. It's the only spot in the entire game where it's actually useful at all, which is unfortunate because it's kind of cool. In a lot of ways, Pridemore Keep is an easier level than the Plains, since there's a lot less pits, at least I think there are. But it's a very basic level, there's not really too much complicated speedrun things happening here. I believe it is the first instance of the players using a damage boost, which is just taking damage intentionally in order to proceed past some enemies or some other tough section. Which Tohloo is going to do right now on this Griffin. He's going to get hit by the fireballs on purpose.
Yeah, if you actually jump into that damage boost, you gain a lot more height off of just a regular damage boost, and you can launch yourself up and over.
Tohloo does the Diesel strat in the Chandelier room. We'll see if SpeedFrog goes for it.
Nice!
He did.
Very nice.
Tohloo waits for the lava cycles in the book room instead of going for it. SpeedFrog does the same. You can make this safer cycle just as fast as the damage boost strat in this room, but it's a little bit harder to do. Now both players approaching King Knight, the second boss of the run. There's not really a good way to explain this quick kill, you just have to watch it, kind of appreciate it.
Nice.
Actually getting more hits than Tohloo did in the first phases, so he caught up a little bit.
Yeah. It's just basically a mixture of really quick shovel cancel attacks and using the ceiling to pogo King Knight as he jumps up and down.
What are we going to see the players do now, Diesel? What item are they going to buy?
Well, both of these runners are running the Chaos Orb, so they're going to head down here in this little underground area, and they're going to buy the Chaos Orb from Chester. It is about 1,500? No, I'm sorry, 2,500 gold.
Yeah.
And that is the only item they need from the village here, and then they're going to immediately exit. Now, I actually incorporate that note that SpeedFrog busted up the Mulwallen, and I sell it to the Bard here for a quick 500 gold. And there's actually another 200 gold above that note as well. So it's pretty quick money there if you want to incorporate that into your gold route. It's completely optional though.
Yeah, it's definitely a good step for newer runners, I think, because it's essentially a free 700 gold.
Absolutely.
For only a handful of seconds.
And if you're like really good at spamming the start button with the Bard talking, you can make that time really short.
Yeah. And Tohloo, as he enters the Lich Yard, already putting the orbs to good use. They cost 6 magic to use, and you can have up to 2 of them on screen, and they just kind of bounce around and deal damage to enemies. You can also use them for a variety of cool tricks throughout the run. And it's generally the safest item to use in any percent.
Yo, gets that frog skip.
SpeedFrog going for the low percent frog skip, that's interesting. That one is actually harder in my opinion. It's a little bit slower too.
He has the orb to do it, he might just be more confident.
Yeah, it's definitely better to do strats that you're comfortable with as opposed to things that might be fancy but you're not so good at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like in fighting games, they have what we call tournament combos. They're not flashy, they don't get a lot of damage, but they get the job done. One feature of the Lich Yard that you'll see frequently are these dark rooms, which we've already passed through a couple of them. Now, obviously, if you've never played Shovel Knight before, these can be somewhat challenging, but for runners like Tohloo and SpeedFrog who played this game numerous times, they can see Shovel Knight clear as day. And Tohloo doing the first checkpoint break of the run, SpeedFrog now coming up to the same thing. The checkpoints, no matter what, will always give you 200 gold at the center, and the color of the checkpoint determines what color the rest of the gems will be. I believe they'll only be breaking maybe anywhere between 3 and 5 checkpoints, depending on what route they choose to take. But since they did break that checkpoint, it no longer functions as a checkpoint, so should they have died anywhere between that checkpoint and the next one, they would have gone back even further to the previous checkpoint. Before the one they broke. Good navigation through the end of the dark room from both players.
Yeah, it was really good. Tohloo getting the last checkpoint and SpeedFrog saving it. So he's gonna have about 300 extra gold after this Spectre fight. Tohloo got bad RNG and SpeedFrog got good RNG, so the sync is pretty close right now.
Yeah, they're almost even.
Almost even, and that's the difference that can really give you when you get good RNG and bad RNG with Spectre Knight. There are backup strats so that if you do get bad RNG to make the damage minimal, but As you can see there, it was enough to bring them both right in sync with each other. So
Now
I
we
think
have
both runners will try to gather gold here at the same time as taking damage quickly as possible.
Yeah, you see them running into the skeletons when the swords are raised, and that's because the skeletons deal more damage with their swords raised on contact. Otherwise they only deal 0.5, so it's obviously faster to take whole damage hits. Both players will be using, I believe, the exact same route, provided Reese doesn't block them, so they'll both be off to the Lost City. Looks like SpeedFrog actually had slightly better world mapping. Oh, and then gets hit by the fire slime. But this is kind of host to the first big trick of the Shovel Knight run, no matter what category you're running. Aside from maybe a boss quick kill. But what these players are both going to be doing is releasing this blue birder enemy out of its cage at a certain point in time when the beetle walks under the platform. And ideally they'll then be able to keep up with the bird and then use it to cross this gap without waiting for the beetle. This of course means that the slimes have to be nice, and they're in perfect sync right now.
Watching that in sync is pretty cool. It's definitely like one of the big first strats you'll learn in this game, especially like in in order of the game, but it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah. And then you saw SpeedFrog jump into that birder and hit it, and then just pass through it. Enemies in this game, when you damage them, actually can't damage you if you're inside their sprite while they're taking damage. It's mainly used on bosses, but in that one particular instance, it's also useful to do it on that birder, so then you can get through the room without slowing down. Right, both players going to purchase Dust Knuckles for 3,000 gold. They cost 2 magic to use out of the 30 total that they have right now, and it will pull Shovel Knight along toward anything dealing damage to it.
Tohloo took a little bit of a safer jump there over the lava gap, where SpeedFrog kind of did a quick shovel cancel swing and was able to knock the jump pad slime over. So this last checkpoint here, right before Beetle 2, is pretty much a freebie checkpoint. You're always going to break that one. Both runners not going for Beetle 2, probably a very safe option. But it's kind of similar to the first Beetle skip, where we use the Dust Knuckles and manipulate the birder to cross over that lava gap and knuckle it across the gap. Alright, so good Mole Knight from both runners.
Yeah, the nice thing about Mole Knight is he does the same thing every single time with very little variation. The only thing that changes is his height coming out of the walls.
Yeah. It helps because then you can time the orb throw. With a lot of practice, you can time them so they'll travel with more.
Yeah, what's neat is that as like Mole Knight, this happens with Polar Knight as well, but as the orbs travel through them, they actually slow down as they deal damage, so you get even more damage in if you can throw them with proper timing. Anyhow, both players have entered Explodatorium, a level based on global cycles, or at least parts of it are, meaning that things in the level start moving as soon as they enter the stage. So for the first like 4 or 5 rooms, they want to play perfectly in order to meet a certain cycle in a room later on. It looks like SpeedFrog is already taking damage, so he's missed a cycle. Tohloo, however, gets through the room excellently. And SpeedFrog breaks that 500, which is actually, he proved to also be a free checkpoint as long as you're on the cycle already. But since he took the time to break it, he actually, I think, got put back on the proper cycle. Just slightly ahead of it, actually, but still pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Very risky, because those spikes above can kill him. The spikes on the pot lids below cannot. And all of those vat lids are what's on the global cycle. It looks like SpeedFrog actually pulled ahead through that room. I guess Tohloo had some bad luck going through it. Alright, this mini-boss takes 23 hits to kill, and you can kill him before he transforms. It's very difficult to do, though. And these fire platforms are also on a global cycle. You can either wait at the beginning and then try and get yourself on a good cycle where you don't have to stop, or just adapt. And I'm not sure SpeedFrog intended to do that. He got a good setup for ladder skip, but then didn't do it.
Oh, SpeedFrog getting ice climbers and Tohloo getting the backup. Nice.
I did not think SpeedFrog would be able to get ice climbers. It looked like his first jump was way too high. In order to do that trick, you have to manipulate that Slime Knight to jump at certain times, which requires very specific setups. And SpeedFrog actually getting the damage boost, which is super risky to do, because if you miss it, you're liable to then be holding right as you fall down towards the vat and then just walk off the platform. So both players now fighting Plague Knight. Plague will actually always try to jump over Shovel Knight, and isn't as random as most players think. He can become random the longer the fight draws out, just because he starts jumping faster and faster. SpeedFrog getting a godlike kill. Tohloo not too far behind, actually. Alright, now before the players head to the next level, the Iron Whale, they're stopping at Armor Outpost to purchase the Conjurer's Coat, purple armor, and the Charge Slash. The Charge Slash just lets you hold your attack down for longer to deal a one-time attack for more damage. The Conjurer's Coat has a few effects. It gives you 50 flat extra magic at the cost of taking 0.5 extra damage from everything in the game. It also makes it so enemies will almost always drop magic now. There's only a few enemies in the game that are not guaranteed to drop magic when you have Conjurer's Coat on. As for how the magic pickups work, all the small magic jars that you might see will give them 5 magic. The big magic jars will give them 30. And you can get a 30 at any time from any given enemy that can drop magic, so you might see the players in some levels kill specific enemies in the hopes of getting a big magic. It's not super important until they pick up Propeller Dagger in the next level, but having extra magic in Iron Whale does help on the mini-boss. And it does ensure that you'll have magic for the boss as well, Treasure Knight. SpeedFrog coming up the Tentacle Room. If you throw an orb at the proper time here, you can kill a bunch of the tentacles at once. Excellent job. We'll see if Tohloo has any success with it.
Wow, they both got it.
That might be one of my favorite tricks in the game, honestly.
It is a really fun strat to do. Yeah, that and the other one coming up, the dirt pile skip. I love doing that one.
Oh yeah. Diesel, why do we hate the fish mini-boss?
There's many reasons, but mainly he has very random movements. Sometimes he can actually go up and down in this fight here, rendering you unable to hit him. That way, he actually call him 420 fish because he just likes to get high sometimes. So he is a nuisance. But both of them had a really good fight, and the benefit of having Conjurer's Coat and Charge Slash for that fight exclusively saves a lot of time.
Yeah. Without it, you have to just use your basic shovel hits, which takes a lot longer.
It does.
And SpeedFrog actually didn't have to get health after the boss fight, the mini-boss rather. Tohloo did, which set him a little bit behind. SpeedFrog, I don't know if he ever goes for that pixel perfect jump, but he went for it now. Who does the fireball version of Anchor Skip? Nails it!
Nice. Tohloo had like a somewhat okay setup to do it, but I think he just opted to take the safe way through.
Yeah, looks like he may have lost confidence in it halfway through it. And he wants to get the gold from that knight. Ah, the knight drops the gold in the pit anyway. It's SpeedFrog coming up to Treasure Knight. Now you'll see why the Chaos Sphere is really one of the most powerful relics in the game. They just destroy Treasure Knight.
Oh, Tohloo's getting a really bad pattern from Treasure. But he did kill him somewhat, sort of, kind of near the ground, but a little bit mid-air, which is what you don't want to do. As you can see, he floats really slow going to the ground. He gave him a bad pattern by going to the ceiling in the first place, which is the pattern you never want. But in that case, what you do is just wait for him to go to the ground and kill him there. I don't think he meant to.
No, I doubt it. SpeedFrog getting his patented early Dream 2 skip. The SpeedFrog discovered that if you somehow take damage and then catch Shield Knight, outside the dream, Shovel Knight will then slide from his position next to the campfire and just kind of slide off screen while still laying down. And getting it right saves about 4 seconds.
Oh, gets the frame perfect jumps.
Yeah, that was so close. That was technically the fastest way to do that. Not exactly the safest.
Yeah. Oh, and misses the knuckle grab to the ladder. Saves a few seconds.
Yeah, in this level, the players will be buying their next item, the Propeller Dagger, for 4,000 gold. And after they buy that, they never have to worry about getting gold again. They do need one more item after this level, but they get all the money they need from the boss here, so they never have to worry about picking anything up. This level is actually, I think, the longest in terms of number of rooms, and it does have one short-ish auto-scroller. SpeedFrog rapidly approaching the mini-boss. We'll see if he gets the boat skip, as we call it, which is just you could do the last hit as a pogo, which gets you up to a platform on the other side of this screen. Excellent job.
So here SpeedFrog is buying the Propeller Dagger for 4,000 gold. You want to enter this room with at least 3750. If in an emergency you don't have that, there is a 200 behind Chester, but it does waste some time to get it.
Even though Tohloo is a little bit behind now, he's still having a really good level. Ooh, SpeedFrog getting a nice triple Jawa room.
It's got a perfect triple Jawa room.
That's one of those rooms that is definitely... It shows just how much time a player has spent learning this category, because it's one of the more complex rooms in terms of movement through it. I mean, of course, because you're not just running and jumping, you're also propeller daggering at very specific instances to make the Jawas go where you want them to. Tohloo decides to just get his revenge.
That, and they gave him really bad patterns.
Yeah. Killing a Jawa is always cathartic, though. SpeedFrog approaches the wind tunnels, and I guess he just decided he didn't want to do the propeller dagger strat for it. He may have just wanted to save magic to get through the next room.
That might have been it too. Yeah, I think you might be right there.
Then again, like we said earlier, it's better to do strats that you're comfortable with, so no harm in doing that. Whether he knows it or not, he does have a substantial lead here. The Madman going for orbs on Propeller Knight. Propeller Knight actually can't take damage from orbs at first until you hit him with the shovel, and even then you have to hit him at basically the same time the orbs connect in order for them to do damage.
You got a really good backup kill.
Yeah.
It's good. Oh, Tohloo barely missing the pogo on propeller in the last part of that strat there.
He's going to do the wise thing and just sit here and charge up the slash. That is the good choice. If he had propeller daggered over to try and get like the 2 last hit pogos, he would have gotten hit by that cannonball and most likely knocked into the pit. SpeedFrog approaches this first checkpoint in the Clockwork Tower. We'll see if he grabs it for safety or not.
Does, yeah. Very good. Very smart idea.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot to the Clockwork Tower. Thanks to the propeller dagger and the item we buy from it, the mobile gear, we get through it extremely quickly. Like, the only thing there is to say, really, is that you really want to watch your magic use and make sure that you dagger at all the right times, in all the right places, as there's very little places after you buy the gear to replenish magic. You also might want to conserve magic for the boss fight, but that's just down to player preference. There's very little places to replenish health in this level as well. The same goes for the flying machine and the next level after this one, the stranded ship. That said, Clockwork Tower is probably the easiest of the third trio levels. Tohloo skips the first checkpoint. We'll see if that pays off. It's a bold move.
It's very bold. Don't have too much to worry about, but one small step and could die easily, especially in this room.
Right, SpeedFrog skips the third checkpoint. There's only one thing now that could possibly kill him, and that is the sign daggers in the last room.
Yeah. Sign daggers are one of the most random things in this game.
Yeah. Oh, he gets big magic from the first sign dagger. He actually didn't need that, as there's 45 magic just sitting in this room alone, but it's still very helpful. And as SpeedFrog did earlier, Tohloo is now showing off why the gear is so important in this level, and in the run as a whole, because it lets you skip this first auto-scroller completely. The gear actually will be used later for, believe it or not, damaging enemies. And it does 1 whole damage when it rolls into an enemy. Tohloo very low on life and skips the health pickup. He should be okay though, there's not really anything that's... Ooh, okay, he's fine.
He's gonna watch it in this first part of the auto scroller. These sign daggers can go all the way up to the top of this ladder, and even above that, as you can see there. I
Oh
have
man.
never seen them that
Oh
high.
man.
Wow. Wow. The sign daggers smell blood.
SpeedFrog doing the knuckle kill on first phase of Tinker Knight. Ooh, unfortunately misses the second set of knuckles. Is at 1 health remaining.
Does the reflection shot, very nice. And good kill.
And Tohloo, the absolute madman, going into Tinker Knight with a half health. Ladies and gentlemen, are you not entertained?
This will be very interesting to see how he pulls this off.
Alright, this is a nice safe pogo strat combined with gear.
Wow. GG.
Alright, SpeedFrog going through probably the hardest of the last trio of levels, or at least I'd consider it to be.
Yeah.
Stranded Ship has almost nowhere to replenish magic or health. So again, SpeedFrog will be killing a few specific enemies in the hopes of getting magic, like those dragons there. And then he ideally does not want to get hit besides the 2 places where we do intentional damage boosts. Tohloo will be hoping for the same.
SpeedFrog with just enough magic to knuckle both of those Hammer
Wow.
Brothers across. Very risky.
I've gotten to that spot and only had magic to knuckle the first one, and then I died. And I was so confused.
Oh, and uses the charge slash method across the Hammer Bros room. Very nice. Only got hit at the end.
Yeah, that actually is faster than doing it the other way.
Yeah.
Tohloo having a little trouble with the shield chargers, but manages to not get hit, which is the most important thing. SpeedFrog will probably decide to do the gear strat in the last room and ride that the whole way instead of the dagger strat. We shall see.
Yeah, with a Conjurer's Coat, one hit, he's done. He's using the strat. Very smart.
Tohloo Knight is one of the easier fights after you get fairly good at the game. Just like Treasure Knight, the orbs can deal a lot of damage to him. And then just by swinging your shovel and then canceling that with a jump and hitting him in the air again and moving with him, just like SpeedFrog did, you can just destroy him as he runs from one side of the screen to the other. That's definitely a skill that separates like the top 10 or like 15. I forget how many people have a sub 50 now, but jump canceling or shovel canceling, whichever you call it, is definitely a must-have skill if you want to get a top time at this game. Tohloo having a much better Polar Knight fight than SpeedFrog
Wow.
did.
Yeah, that was a really good fight from Tohloo.
Yeah, Tohloo had a lot more magic though, as well. I'm not sure if he planned that, but still, that was really good. And this is still anyone's race. A death at any point could cause an upset. Especially in the beginning of Tower 1, because there's a span of like 5 or 6 really long rooms.
Ooh.
Alright, that hit isn't too much of a big deal, neither is that one.
Oh, this is the first gear. Oh, this is the second gear. And there we go.
Alright, he's just giving Tohloo a chance to catch up. One thing to note about the Tower 1 level, that both players are entering now, is that it's a very consistent level. And what I mean by that is that it plays basically the same way every single time you go through the level. There's very few things that are random in this level. I actually don't think either player has died yet. I mean, I hate to commentators curse somebody, but...
Oh, yeah.
Alright, I'm not sure what SpeedFrog did. He has a lot more magic than I usually see runners come through here with. Maybe I'm just imagining things.
Maybe I had an extra 5. I go into that room with 33. But he's gonna get enough magic right here. Oh, there he goes. He had to go back for it to get across this cap here with the last
I do that all the time.
I know.
Alright, and this is actually the third Black Knight fight that exists in the Shovel Knight story, but it's only the second one we see in the speedrun, because the other one is a map encounter. And the important thing is that we can perform the same stun lock, but the time frame is much smaller. And if you drop it, Black Knight will go into a phase where he's invincible and then shoots fireballs at you. It's just careful timing of jumping, swinging your shovel, and then hitting jump just as you hit the ground in order to maintain the stun lock.
Yep.
Beautiful job from SpeedFrog.
SpeedFrog with a really good Black Knight 3 fight. Oh, and the Jawa almost gave Tohloo a really unfortunate death there, but he got past it.
Yeah, good patience. Good question from the Twitch chat. How do you avoid the map encounters? You can actually avoid the map encounters in this game by being under a certain time in the in-game, or within the in-game timer. So the Black Knight 2 fight and Phantom Striker will actually not spawn on the map until you kill Reese. Good job, Tohloo. Oh my god, SpeedFrog, what are you doing?
That strat that SpeedFrog did, where he jumps over the first wall and then propeller daggers directly above the lava there is, I believe it is optimally faster, but it is obviously very, very risky.
Yeah, he did get hit by the liquid archer there, which unfortunately did cost him time. Oh no, he hit the rainbow platform the other way. Oh my. Oh, I see why he did it now. Okay. Alright, well, I did jinx them, unfortunately. But at least he's right next to a checkpoint, so...
Yeah, that was a good spot to die in Tower if you're gonna die before boss rush. And gets past the last instance of Jawas.
There are no more in the game, thank goodness for that.
And those can be really annoying ones.
And Tohloo not too far behind, only a couple rooms. Any death in boss rush will definitely make a lead change. Unless SpeedFrog dies to the very first boss, in which case maybe not.
Rides the gear into the music.
You gotta have your tunes when you're on your ride. I myself listen to the Shovel Knight soundtrack when driving in my vehicle. In my Shovel Knight car, wearing my Shovel Knight shirt. SpeedFrog killing enemies for money that he doesn't need, possibly swag.
So what you saw there was SpeedFrog. Go to the left side wall. There's a little wall chicken in there. You can go to that wall, break it open before the screen gets up there. And SpeedFrog's gonna get Treasure Knight first.
How random is the boss rush order?
Well, the boss rush order, besides Polar Knight being within one of the first 3 fights, is completely random. And here we are with Polar Knight second. The reason that is because Polar Knight has these spiked floors, and instead of having the unfortunate death of having that, like, say, as the final boss, the game forgives you by putting it in the first 3 fights.
Yeah. Not much else is different about most of the other fights. The room itself that boss rush takes place in is smaller, and there's no ceiling. So doing the same strat against King Knight doesn't work. In Spectre Knight, you actually bounce back and forth from the top of the screen much faster than you do in the other fight. The Mole Knight fight is actually a mirror of the fight in the Lost City. He just flies in the opposite directions.
Tohloo with a really good Plague Knight fight.
I think our players are neck and neck in the boss rush, actually. SpeedFrog just slightly ahead by a short amount of this second phase. Perfect mole from SpeedFrog. Great orb placement.
It's a good
Great
Propeller
charge
Knight.
slash.
Yep.
Yeah. Diesel used to use that strat, right? How hard is that one to do?
It's not too difficult because the patterns are the exact same with each hit. So as long as you can get a good momentum with it, it's kind of very similar to the low percent fight, really. When you get comfortable with that. Oh, fighting pattern.
No.
Oh. That is what you did not want to happen.
All he needed was one charge slash for victory.
It's a heartbreaker. Getting Plague last is never ever good in boss rush, but in that situation, like, he just had him down to the last hit, and it's a good death, unfortunately.
Tohloo finishes up boss rush. Ooh, SpeedFrog playing this very risky by not having health during Spectre.
He just got it there. Alright. So, Tohloo is entering the Enchantress fights.
He's 2 boss fights away from victory.
He's on really good pace. Can't remember what Tohloo's PB is. It's like at a 45 though.
I know it's a high 45.
Yeah.
So he won't be too far off his PB actually, should these fights go well.
Yeah.
here, Tohloo showing off that Gear does have more offensive capabilities, just like it does against Tinker. Excellent finish on that Enchantress fight. Had he missed that, he would have fallen in the pit.
Very, very clean finish. Meanwhile, SpeedFrog has a much more favorable boss rush end here.
Yeah, Treasure and Propeller last when you have orbs is like guaranteed win.
And he finishes his second attempt at boss rush. Oh! And
Tohloo.
Tohloo taking a pit death on Enchantress 2.
Luckily, he does just start right back at the Enchantress 2 fight instead of before Enchantress 1.
This is very fortunate. But if this came down to a neck-and-neck race, that's very, very unfortunate.
Almost jumps right back in the pit.
Oh my god.
No. Second round of projectiles. The projectiles will do 1.5 if he gets hit.
Yeah.
But he's okay.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. Time 47:08 for Tohloo, even though he didn't stop his timer.
So SpeedFrog coming up on the Enchantress 1 fight, using pretty much the same Tohloo's, but gets a really, really good.
That was perfect.
2 charge / finish there.
That was incredible.
Yeah. Really good fight. Alright, SpeedFrog also using the daggers, but didn't get enough hits on to spawn Enchantress to do her second phase attacks. Where she stomps the ground. And very clean finish from Speed. A 48-44. Looking at it from his splits.
Hello?
Hello. So we are joined by SpeedFrog. I guess, what happened with Plague?
It's kind of funny how right before the stream, I was saying I'm really comfortable with Plague now, and I don't think I should have a problem with him anymore, and that it would be very ironic if I get him last in boss rush and then die to him. So that happened.
That was very heartbreaking to watch that, but it was still very good. Yeah, at least had a very second boss rush, and for the whole race leading up to that point, you and Tohloo were both pretty synced. It was a very close race from start to finish.
That's good to hear.
It was an excellent race from both of you. And the Madman, you did the scary strat in Tower 2 after the first checkpoint.
Oh, I don't even remember how to do the other strats, so that's the only one I can do.
That is insane.
Alright, what do we have coming up on Speed Gaming? Let's see. Looks like that was actually the last thing of the night, if I'm reading this correctly.
I believe it was.
Yeah, next is the Mega Man X2 tournament, continues Tuesday at 5 PM Eastern, if I'm looking at this correctly. So that should be a ton of fun. In the meantime, I guess we will go ahead and sign off. Thanks to Fiesel again for restreaming. And we will see you all next race. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.